Hi, my name is Emily Matson, and my presentation is titled Mental Health Conditions in Youth, Public Schools Can Make a Difference. This is from my Composition 2 class. The topic of my presentation is not just mental health in general, but younger children with mental health issues and how the schools can help these children. According to the dictionary, mental health is a state of emotional and psychological well-being in which an individual is able to use his or her cognitive and emotional capabilities, function in society, and meet the ordinary demands of everyday life. Before I get started presenting, let's just think for a second. Have you ever known or met someone with a mental illness? If you have, did you ever think to yourself, how did they end up going through life that way? Or, how could they have been helped? That is what always has gone through my mind. James Lynn, George Chakwai, Deborah Wilson, and Emmanuel Arredondo are all the authors of the International Journal of Childbirth Education. They state that mental health results in profound challenges for learning and adaptive behavior and generally requires professional services and treatments. By this being said, it is so important for people suffering from a mental health condition to get the help and treatment they need. The main reason why my topic is focused on younger children is because of an article written by the National Alliance on Mental Illness. The fact that stood out to me the most in this article was the earlier a young person can access mental health care, the more effective it can be. Although this is true, it is very common that the youth may not even know if they have a mental health condition. These children need attention so they can be diagnosed and treated if they do happen to be suffering mentally. Since these children spend most of their time in school, the school's administration should be taking some responsibility in this situation. Meg Anderson and Kavitha Cardoza, the authors of the National Public Radio Education series on mental health in schools, communicated a very scary statement about this. They explained that educators face the simple fact that often, because of a lack of resources, there just aren't enough people to tackle the job. Educators may not have the resources available to help their students, but it should be the public school's responsibility to provide those resources. These issues are so overlooked that Melody Henderson, a special education teacher at Manchester High School in Virginia, realized there are literally no resources available to her. One of her students randomly got up in the middle of class and quietly told her that the previous night he had made a deal with the devil but wish he hadn't. Henderson had told the student that she would do everything she can to handle this situation that he was in. She was unable to follow through on that promise because her school was not equipped to handle this situation. When Henderson said she would handle his situation, she did not mean she would talk to the devil for him or anything like that. She meant handle it as in getting that student some medical attention or contact the family to explain what is going on with their son. The fact that Henderson couldn't even find a teacher appropriate way to help this student should be eye-opening to everyone. Most think that parents should be the ones taking care of these situations. Anderson and Cardoza, once again, stated a scary fact that many families let a serious problem be overlooked as just a phase. Students spend more time with their teachers than their own families, so it is hard for families to acknowledge the mental health red flags in their kids. It is thought among many that kids with a mental health condition will grow out of it. Although there may be a few success stories that way, I haven't heard any. Most conditions need treatment. Without needed treatment, the authors of the International Journal of Childbirth Education state that normative barriers can push children with these disabilities to the margins of society and waste their potential. To keep this from happening, schools need to implement some type of system to help with this. One way that schools can make sure that these children suffering from mental health issues are being helped is by bringing in community mental health professionals. By doing this, these professionals will be able to help acknowledge red flags in these students and reach out to the families. The professionals could even give help to determine treatment paths. An advantage of this strategy is that the hired help's only job is to focus on the mental states of students. They may be able to catch things that others don't. Another way for schools to respond to this challenge is given to us by William Dykle, an independent consulting psychiatrist. Dykle tells us that this strategy would be by having their own staff providing mental health diagnostic and treatment services within the school. With this strategy, the administration already working at the schools will be trained to know how to handle these situations. An advantage of this strategy is that the school staff are always interacting with the students. Since the staff and students have a relationship prior to the training, the staff may have a better chance at diagnosing their mentally challenged students. On the slide in front of you, I have laid out how each strategy works in less words. The first strategy starts with the mental health professionals. They then contact the families to tell them what's going on, and the families will then contact treatment specialists. The second strategy starts out with the educators who are trained in all things mental health. Then they will contact the families, and then again, the families should be contacting treatment specialists. There are some cases in which schools are not able to take full responsibility in helping. For example, some students may have more severe mental health conditions or become violent. Ronald Pies, a professor of psychiatry at SUNY Upstate Medical University and Tufts University School of Medicine, says that for some such individuals, assertive community treatment involving a 24/7 multidisciplinary team approach may help reduce the potential for violence. Assertive community treatment would not be for all people with mental health issues, but for those who have trouble handling their condition on their own. Regardless of the severe cases, schools still need to take action. Randall Reback tells us public schools can be a relatively desirable location for efficient and widespread distribution of physical and mental health services. If this is true, it should not be impossible to implement the type of systems I mentioned. Although most public schools are excelling at the education aspect, they need to take better care of their students so they are able to get the education they need and deserve. After listening to my presentation, I hope everyone grasps an understanding of how important treating children with mental health conditions can be. Thank you. And these are my resources. And if anyone has any questions, don't feel free to let me know. Thank you.